So today we'll talk about SQL program, right? So what we discussed yesterday was that we use database to store data, right? And some of the roles that we discussed, right? Data administration role was to manage database. Second, we spoke about database developer role, where you create table and indexes and different database objects. Okay, but as a BA, you will be working on the third type of role, which is to use the database. Okay, so database will have the content, and you need to connect to the database and read the data, right? So we discussed about the different operations that we perform was select, okay, insert, update, delete. Insert is to add new row to the database, or to the table rather. Add a new row to the table. Insert. Update is changing the existing values which is there, and delete is to remove the row. As a business analyst, you'll be okay. And if you look at all these, right? So the most extensive and difficult also is your select. Okay, everything else is easy, just one line code. But select is very complex, and because there's a lot of things that you can do with select. Okay, and as a business analyst, this is just one command. Okay, is important. Okay, but that one command itself is not that easy. Okay, it requires a lot of practice. So Oracle has a database which is publicly available. It's called Oracle Live SQL. Okay, this is the link, livesql.oracle.com. You need to create an account. Okay, you need to create an account. It's freely available. So once you create an account, okay, Oracle account, and you will get into this live SQL. Okay, and I say start coding now. Okay. So so you have, this is where you start typing the code. Now, if you look here, okay, schema. If you click on schema, this will tell you the database which it has. So it has a lot of schema. It has academic, okay, customer order, okay, sales history, right? So you can talk about, let's say, HR database. It's called HR. HR is schema. Okay, these are the tables which are created. Okay, so countries is a table, department is a table, employees is a table. Okay, so if I need to access data from employees, I would go to SQL worksheet. So it's called employees, right? HR is the schema name. So if you go here, okay, and if you type select star, star means I want, it means give me all the columns. So select star from, this is the query. Okay, select is a command that you have to give. If you are using select, you have to use from. So between from and select, you have to give the list of columns that you want. If you want all the columns, you say star. If you want specific columns, then you have to mention the column names. So select star from HR dot employees, and you go and click on run here. Okay, so these are the data that is there in the database. Employee ID, first name, last name, email, phone number, hire date, job ID, salary, commission percentage, manager ID, department ID. Okay, now if I want first name, last name, and department ID, so instead of star, I will say first name, comma, last name, comma, department ID. Okay, this is case insensitive. That means doesn't matter whether it's small letter, capital letter. Okay, so you got only these. Now I want only people belonging to department ID 90. So I'll say from HR employees where department ID equal to 90. If I say that, okay, all the, you see this? I want people belong to greater than department ID 50. So you get 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, all those greater than 50 you have got here. Basically, that is it, okay? And you will have a lot of commands that you need to practice here. Okay.
How should we create the table?
So it is already created, okay? You don't have to create. But yesterday, if you remember, I have given the code, okay? So if you are working, you have to install database, okay? I can share the notes, how you can install MySQL database on your computer. And I can share the code also, okay? You can try installing the database on your computer. You need to install some kind of database, right? MySQL is very simple and easy to install. So you need to install MySQL
can
database.
we write this code in command prompt? Do we need any other software to
You
write
need
it?
software, okay? Because see, this is front end, right? This is where you're typing the code, but it has to connect to the database, all right? So since this is already a UI interface, this is good for you to practice, okay? But if you but if you want to get too much, if you want to practice in detail, then I would say install MySQL, okay? And when you install MySQL, it will install, I think it's called Workbench, okay? Workbench is where you will type this command, it will connect to the database.
Okay.
Okay, I can share the complete notes, which you can just follow step by step, and you can connect, log in, and install. So this is how. So
can you show some other example, like what you type some codes, because we are new to this coding?
Correct.
Is anything basic that we should learn for these codings?
This what I showed you is basic. Okay. So slowly you have to. So again, as I said, right? It depends, right? If this is what you want to get into, right? The job here is to give you exposure, tell you that this is how it is there. But if this makes sense for you, if this is where you want to go, then of course you'll have to spend few more hours on it. But at least now you know that you can connect to the database and you can write SQL. These are called SQL query, SQL query. Okay, structured query language, SQL, structured query language. So using SQL, we can connect to the database and get the data from the database. It's easier to get data from database than Word, Excel, right? That's why we say that this means, database means the database should be easy to access. So how is it easy to access? Using SQL, you can access.
Okay, Saurabh, but will all the departments in BA use these coding? Because you said depending upon
your role, right? If your role is more of data analytics, okay, that's when you'll have to definitely know this. Okay, if you do not want to get into this, then you don't have to know, right? It doesn't mean that all the BAs would use this. Okay. If you are more from data kind of profile, then definitely you need to know this. Okay, but if you're more from writing use cases and stakeholder interview, then that's a different thing. There you won't use this.
Okay. Like in some of the job description, it says like head count, resource requests, all that will come under this, Saurabh.
No, what is that? Head count?
Wait just a minute. My file was opening when you asked me the.
Okay, because I don't know what is head count. Okay, so.
To automate reporting, scale the headcount management program, and drive actionable insights for stakeholders.
Okay,
and
so maybe headcount could be something specific to the company, but what it said is, can you repeat the first part of the sentence? Report, automate report.
Yeah, develop new.
Lost you. Hello. I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
Maybe she lost signal, Saurav.
I think she lost. Yeah.
Saurav, what is Power MHS and BizTalk?
Power MHS.
Yeah, like and also in few like more descriptions I saw Tableau along with SQL.
Correct. So the
Yes.
SQL is this. Tableau is another tool. Okay.
Okay,
Tableau
is it Tableau similar like SQL?
No. So Tableau is a complete
Sorry.
UI tool. So Power BI, not Power Queries. Yes, Power BI. So
Okay.
Power BI and Tableau, these are tools for data visualization. That means you have to again get the data from database and plot different graphs.
Okay.
Yeah.
In that also, do we need to code or something? We need to
Little bit of
access the
code. Yeah,
database
you
only.
have to do little bit of coding. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, Saurav, my laptop just logged
Oh,
off. It's logged in again, so I just connected with my phone.
okay, no problem. So just missed your part. So see, I think the first part you said is report automation, right? So of course, report automation would mean that you need to use some kind of coding, right? Some kind of coding. Now that report, is it Tableau report or Power BI report or what kind of report we have to see, right?
Everything on the floor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Open the last set of decks.
And you also mentioned data analytics, right, Saurav? Is that a new topic or is anything like do we need to like upgrade on that for our career in
So
being?
it's a new topic altogether. Okay,
Okay.
it's a different thing altogether. Okay,
Okay.
and these days, there is a lot of demand and a lot of discussion around that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So analytics is a little different than this Sauro or
Correct. Analytics is more of data oriented. Okay. See, in business analysis, it's more about talking to stakeholders, creating those use cases diagram, talking of, understanding what customer want and explaining that in detail. Data analysis is more from how do you handle data, how do you get the insight from the data, how to create reporting. So it's a different thing. Yeah.
Okay. If we want to cope up in this job, like in career, we need to learn all those, right? Like,
Yeah, I'll tell you, future is all about data thing. Okay.
yeah, advancement.
If yes, even now, let's say if you do not have to use it, but going forward, and this is what I have seen all kinds of role in IT. Okay, not only business analysis, software development, or all kinds of IT, even in the sales, there is mm, there is like the data which has to be handled everywhere in all kinds of profile. Okay, so that is something that you have to start doing it. Okay, initially you can try on your own, and if you need some help, yes, we can help you. Okay, that's not a problem. But okay, that see the wiki. That itself will take us 20-25 hours of training. That's a full course in itself. Okay, so that's why it's not possible to, yes, analytics. So it's not possible to include here. Okay, but my idea was to give you an exposure to know. Okay, now you cannot say that I have not seen what is SQL, right? You have seen, right? Now, of course, you can't become expert in 1 hour session. So, just to know that you have an exposure, and when they ask you, you can say that, yes, I know what database is, or to connect to the database. I did not get chance to work. So, that way, or I don't, I did not get chance to work extensively. Something like that you can at least say. At least you need 6 to 8 hours training to learn the basic. Of course, advanced can take a lot more time, but to know the basic.
Do you recommend any website for us to learn this SQL basics, Saurav?
W school he mentioned.
So see, I can share my videos. Okay, you can even buy my book. Okay, which is there on Kindle and on Amazon. Okay, W3 School is good for any kind of programming. So w3school.com has SQL programming also. So if you look for website, w3school.com is good.
Okay. Currently, like day by day, the technologies are changing, right, Saurav? In past in 10 years, they are using some other technologies when compared to right now. So, is there any change of technologies right now in BA field?
See, if you remember, like end of first session, right? We did it multiple sessions, not class, okay, session. So we did discuss about agile and product owner and things like that.
Yeah.
Correct. So see, the thing is, to answer your question from the BA perspective, the basic role is same. Okay, the basic purpose of BA is to understand the business knowledge and translate into technology. Okay, that will not change. That will remain forever like that, because that's the role of BA. Now the question comes, how do you do it? Situation could be different. Okay, as a BA, your role in agile world is different than waterfall model. Agile, you will not have time of analyzing for a month or 2 months. You have to do it every week, right? So you are talking very frequently to customers, trying to get the requirements, and create it in a shorter time, maybe in a day or in a week. Okay, your role also has got changed, because here you will not be writing long documents and go to the technical team. You are probably interacting with them on alternate week, or maybe once in month kind of thing. You're continuously interacting with them. So what I'm trying to say is, the way it is implemented would differ, no doubt. Okay, but at the core it would remain same. At the core it is same BA role. Okay, and whatever we discussed, it holds true. Maybe you might have to work in bits and pieces. Okay, maybe focus on one particular thing more than other. Those things will happen when you get into a job, and those are very specific to the work that you are into.
Okay.
Okay, even let's say if 3 of you join same company, same team, even then your 3 role could be different. Okay, maybe one of you might get into data analytics, never know. One of you might get into talking to customer, getting the requirements. One of you might get into technical, talking to technical team. So same company, same team, also you have, a different kind of role, because anything that requires connect between 2 different teams, especially customer and the technical team, you would be involved, right? So customer might want some data. Okay, so you may not be the one who's doing all these things, but you need to understand the data, right? You need to also pull data from, now let's say customer says, I want this information. Now you need to go to a technical person, ask and get it. Instead, if you know, you can directly log into the system, into Power BI or Tableau you mentioned, get that information and give it to your customer, right? So the point I'm trying to make is things are getting more hands-on. Okay, it wasn't the case 10 years back. Okay, now it has become more hands-on, more faster. Okay, they would expect the task may not be big. It may not take you 2 weeks to do it. It might take just 2 days to do it. Okay, but they want things to be shorter and faster. You get what I'm saying, right? So the whole idea, the whole logic is same what we discussed. Okay, but the requirements can be different. The way you're working, okay, could be different. They'll ask you to do smaller stuff and deliver every day or every 2 days. Okay, and these days even people work in shifts. The shift in the sense you don't have to work in the shift, but you'll have a counterpart in Europe and in India. Okay, some guy will do something in India, you have to take it and do it. So you're working in your time zone, but you're taking it from somebody in the Europe, working on it, and give it to somebody in India. And Indian guy will work on it, give it to Europe. So it has become more global, right? So the work that you're doing is continuously getting done 24 hours a day, right? Just that you are working for 8 hours in your time zone. So somebody else will pick it up when you go to bed, and somebody else will give it to you when you get up in the morning. So that's how things have become more dynamic, it is actually more agile. Agile means what? Faster, isn't it? Shorter and faster.
Yes.
But at the core, it remains the same thing. Okay, it means talking to stakeholders, understanding what they want, and then creating the requirements.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Okay, so time to revise. Can somebody explain me the steps that you see on the screen? What do we do?
So we come data analytic, the thing that you were showing, database.
Again, so I lost your voice. What is that?
Did we complete the databases that you were teaching?
Yeah. I wanted to give you intro, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so can somebody summarize what you see here?
Yeah, Saurav. The duties and responsibilities of BA involves in this. First, business analysis, planning, and monitoring. Like the BA should do the planning, and he or she has to monitor the whatever they plan. And then these 4 steps are parallel to the first step. Like first enterprise analysis, and then gathering the information, like the needs from the stakeholders, like requirements. And then after gathering the requirements, then analysis the requirements. Did the stakeholders convey their needs correctly or not? Like assessing the requirements. And then after solution assessment and validation. After completion of the requirement analysis, they'll find the solution, they'll come to the solution for the needs of the stakeholders and assess that solution and validate that solution, whether it is the output is correct or not, is it meet the needs of the stakeholders or not. It's like validating the solution. And the requirements management and communication, like with these 4 steps, this is parallel. While doing those, it is also doing the simultaneously, like communication with the stakeholders, like while collecting elicitation or requirements elicitation only, the communication between the stakeholders and the BA, and underlying competencies. I don't know how to say it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Competencies is all about your skill set that is required.
Okay. Okay, Saurabh. That's it, Saurabh.
Okay. Anybody else wants to add anything to it? Okay. So we have done. Okay, so now we'll talk about requirements communication, right? So another important aspect is that you need to communicate your work among different teams, among different people, isn't it? So,
Yes.
So to do that, okay, as for any process, you need to create the requirements communication plan, right? When you want to plan, you need to create communication plan, correct? And then you need to have manage requirements conflict. What is requirement conflict?
Requirements conflict means the stakeholders, they convey their needs in a different way. Like what they need is one, but they conveying the way is different. One stakeholder is conveying his need in different way when compared to the other stakeholder. Then conflict rises. When the gathering the requirements.
Right. So it is about, okay, it is about when you have different people, okay, giving the requirements which are contradictory in nature. Okay, that means they are not in same line, right? Then what to do, right? How to believe, or not to believe, but whom to accept, kind of, right? Both may be right, okay, but if they're right, then they should have similar requirement, not different. So you need to have a requirements conflict management plan. Okay, conflict management is about working with different teams, different stakeholders, and coming out with same kind of requirement. So this is a conflict. You need to talk to those people and try to see who's right. Okay, and then you talk about determines appropriate requirements format. In what format should you present, right? So most of the time your company would already have a template, okay? And since most of this work is required where you need to work with different teams, isn't it? So you need to have a format which your other team also understands, correct? So that's why you'll have a format, and you need to follow the format. Your requirements when you share, it should be in that format. And then you create a requirements package. Package means the entire thing, okay? So the requirements format, your communication plan, your plan to, so when you say communication plan, it is about how to have discussion with all your stakeholders, right? So initially, you might meet alternate days or almost every day, maybe, if you know. Then after some time, you might once in a week, right? Or maybe after that, you might meet once in a 15 days, okay? Because your interaction with the customer initially will be high because you want to understand what the requirement is, and then from then on, it will be most likely to give them update, right? So if you give them a weekly update, also it's fine, right? So you know, all those things you will create, okay? Who are the stakeholders, whom to meet, what kind of information they need, when those information will be available. That way you also know when to communicate, and your customer or stakeholder also knows when to expect, right? You cannot say, oh, let's meet today and let's have a call, right? That's not possible, right? You need to have those things in the document. So all those things together, you'll put it in the package, and finally you will present it. Okay, and you'll have a formal review where your stakeholder will also say, yes, this is what we want, and then you do sign off. Okay, sign off means agreement by you and your stakeholder, right? Some stakeholders might say, no, this does not suit me, can you change? So you will change. Finally you will come up, you know, both of you will sign on it, literally saying that yes, we agree and this is the plan that we will have. Okay, and this is an example of your requirements plan. What kind of information, when, visit weekly, monthly, or date, time, okay, and who all would be required to attend. Okay, so this is a sample requirements plan that you will create. Okay, so what does it contain? It contains the estimate of what the requirement needs are, what kind of information basically you'll be sharing, right? What needs, right? The first column. The way determines how he or she will continue to communicate with each stakeholder, right? Monthly basis, weekly basis, daily basis, right? So this is your second column, when. The BA determines how best to receive requirements information from project stakeholders. Okay, the template, okay? You know, most of the time you will have some kind of inbuilt tools, okay? Maybe Jira kind of tool, or, you know, project management kind of tool you will have. So they might, they want you to fill in those information so that they can take and work on it. Provide a basis to set expectations for project meetings and other communications. So what expectations are you setting, right? So kind of who. So when you add who, that means, you know, with, like, for example, if you see the all stakeholders, so you are expecting all stakeholders to attend requirements phase kickoff meeting, right? So all this together will set an expectation from your end. Okay, so now we talk about requirements conflict. Okay, so the first thing is that conflict means disagreement, isn't it? Okay, conflict means, you know, two parties have differing opinion, right? So first thing is that you have to accept there is a differing opinion, right? You need to, you know, let's say if you both have differing opinion, first I need to, you know, accept that you both have differing opinion, so that way, you know, you will know that I know your opinion, right? And then I'll work with you saying that, okay, I understand this is what you want, but, you know, this is not an alignment with what your colleague has said. Can we work together to fix it, right? Okay, so that's the requirements. And then the business analyst's responsibility is to ensure that requirements meet overall business need. Okay, so see, ultimate goal is to make sure that the business objective that we have set in the step 1, okay, that is met. That means all the requirements, all the stuff are in that direction, right? So it is important that all issues and conflicts about requirements are documented in a requirements issues log so that all impacted parties are able to see the information. Okay. And this is format, okay? Most probably you'll have a template, otherwise you have to create your own template. Template will differ in, like for example, use case will have a different template, right? Than your, say, sequence diagram, right? So this is what it says. And whatever you do, it has to be clear, concise, accurate, okay? As less text as possible, but also should be complete, right? To reduce the text, you should not make it incomplete. So when you read it, you should understand what what document is trying to. So that's why if you see last slide, we'll talk about the skill set, the underlying competencies. Okay, one of the important competencies is your communication skill, both written and verbal. Okay, and then you create package. So whatever we right? So a package is putting everything that we have done so far. You put them and send it to your stakeholder for approval. Okay, and you present it. Okay, and this is what we have, this is what we're going to do, this is how we will communicate over next month, 6 months, right? And your stakeholder will approve it, saying okay. So these are the things they look for. Is it complete? Is it correct? Have you added a lot of information? Is it to the point? Okay, whatever they want, all those things are included or not, right? So those things they look at, and then they will say okay, approved, and this is signed off, where you both, okay, you both in the sense, it's not two individual, but two teams, right? Stakeholder and the business analyst are agreeing and doing the sign off. Okay, so the last step is solution validation. Okay, so this is done by after implementation. Okay, after implementation, you wait for okay, you wait for 3 months to 6 months, sometimes 1 year to see the result. And then you go and talk to customers, say that, are you happy, right? So develop alternate solutions, evaluate technology options, facilitate the selection of a solution, ensure the usability of the solution, support the quality assurance, support the implementation, communicate the solution. These are the things that we have discussed so far, right? These are the steps of a BA, right? Develop alternate solution we discussed, right? Once you understand the problem, develop an alternate solution. Then you evaluate and come up with the best possible solution, right? Your stakeholder will say, this is what we want. Then facilitate the selection of solution. You are helping your team. Ensure the usability. Finally, the testing that we did 2-3 days back. Support the implementation, communication, what we did just now, right? And finally, you will say, okay, we will go and see, does that meet your requirement or not, right? This is what validation is about. Validation, what I just said, right? So we have learned something, but is it relevant? Okay, you will go back and you will look at the job description and you'll see, oh, everything Swapnil has covered. That means, your training was great, but I still don't understand 50% of this thing. That means training was not good. Okay, so this is what this is all about. And here we look at the skill set of individual, right? So structured analysis skills, issue management, communication, learning skills, usability, product domain, process, market, system, sources of IT knowledge, paradigms and methodology, right? That's what we did in Agile. Okay, and meeting management, presentation, decision making, facilitation, communication, conflict, negotiation, relationship management, questioning, systems thinking, escalation, logic, cultural awareness, okay, coaching, facilitating long-term goal setting, motivational appraisal, interviewing, role definition, behavioral coaching, delegation, succession plan. Okay, so these are some of the skills that you need to learn to be successful in this role. With that, we end our discussion.